welcome. I'm Paul Olds, the Executive Officer of the Heritage Bank Charitable Foundation, and this is our first Meet and Eat for 2024. So I'm really excited to have you with us today. I'd like to start the session by acknowledging and honouring the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, including the Guyabal and Jadawaa people from around Toowoomba, where I am, and we pay our respects to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and to our elders, past, present and emerging. So for those who are new to a Meet and Eat session, you're in for a real treat. We really want to use these sessions to really showcase and highlight the amazing work that our charity partners are doing. And today with me, I'd like to introduce Joanne, and we've also got Cindy. So Joanne is State Manager for Raise here in Queensland, and Cindy is the Queensland Program Manager. So obviously today is all about Raise. I'll just do a quick overview about the Raise Foundation. They received our $50,000 Heritage and People's Choice grant, which is really good. It's our biggest grant ever. So congratulations on receiving that. They do some amazing work in the mental space area with young people, generally grades 8 and 9, but we'll cover that. So I don't want to steal any thunder, and really run an amazing mentoring program, matching mentors with the kids in schools. It's pretty much national, definitely on the majority of the Heritage People's Choice footprint, which is great. And we're funding 2 schools, so one in Western Sydney and one in Brisbane for the program. Look, what attracted us to Raise, which I think is really important to cover, is their results are amazing. So what they've achieved with the kids, and I'm sure the ladies will talk about that today, is really, really special in regards to, I suppose, pre-program and post-program and the difference that makes. The professional support they give to mentors, which is amazing. So, and we'll talk about mentors and the opportunity to volunteer there. I'm definitely volunteering as a mentor, and already started the training program for that. And I found that training program great. So the professional support provided for mentors, which in turn then obviously leads to better results with the mentoring program. We love the geographical spread. So they are working with kids in the communities that we're supporting and living in. So really important to us to actually give back to the communities that support us, which is a great thing. And one thing we really liked was actually the length of the program. So some programs, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. This is a 20-week program, so it's high touch. It's not a low touch thing. And to me, the higher the touch, obviously, the greater the impact can be with that. So those are probably the 4 things that really got them over the line. If you look at the 146 applications we received, obviously for the 6 grants, I'd say about 18 to 19 of those applications were for youth mentoring programs. And like I said, those things really stood out in regards to what Raise does. And look, they've been doing it for a long time. So, it's not just stats that have happened overnight. There's stats that have happened over a long period. So what we'll do is we'll get the ladies to cover what Raise does, the impact, what our money will achieve, and have a talk about volunteer opportunities, which is great. Heaps of time to have questions at the end. So please, we'll unmute, or you can write them in the chat box. We'll answer those. But before we get into Raise, I thought it'd just be good for Joe and Cindy to just talk quickly, who are you and how did you get involved? And then we'll get into the more detailed Raise questions, if that's okay. So go to Joe.
So I found Raise in 2016 when we opened in Queensland with 2 schools, and I became a mentor for them and volunteered as a mentor at both schools. That was an experience that really set me off. I really love at Raise how we are early intervention in the mental health space. So as soon as the opportunity arose a year later, I joined the team as a program counsellor and ran programs for, I think, 4 years. Can't ever remember, might have been 5. And then progressed to where I am now over the last 9 years. So I've been with Raise for 9 years since we opened in Queensland, and I'm now State Manager for Queensland, SA and WA.
Excellent. Cindy?
Like Joe, I started as a mentor for Raise, so 2019, and I went to my training, and I was sitting in training going, this sounds amazing, and I went up to one of the trainers, which was Jo. She doesn't remember this, but it was her, And I said, what do I need to do to be able to work for Raise as a program counsellor? And she said, oh, all our program counsellors are university graduates in either psychology, social work, or counselling. So I actually went back to university. I studied a postgrad in counselling, and I was lucky enough to win a position as a program counsellor. Did that for a while, and then I became a program manager. And I'm also one of the trainers for Raise. So if you do come on board as a volunteer, chances are high, if you're in Queensland, that you will see my face because I'm one of the trainers here.
Excellent. Okay. Well, good success stories from mentoring to
Absolutely.
which is great to see because it just shows the belief in the program. I think anyone that has that belief and then goes on, it's amazing stuff. So, quick history, Raise. How did it start? Why did it start? And sort of how's it grown?
Raise really started with one person. Her name is Vicky Condon. She's our CEO and founder. Vicky has an HR counselling background, and one day she sat down on Bondi Beach, she's down in Sydney, and wrote a complete business plan for a youth mentoring program, just like any of us would do when we're in, right? Then she sort of read through it, and she says, in her words, I had a crisis of confidence and I shelved it for a while. Sadly, a little bit later, their family friends experienced a youth suicide, and through that grief and shock that their whole community went through, Vicky pulled out that plan again and got started. So Raise started in Sydney. It started with Vicky herself going in and mentoring young people in a school, and it's grown to what we are today. And she hasn't looked back. She's so proud of what Raise has achieved, and if she can, and for Vicky, it's all about how many young people can we reach, and can we reach more, because this experience of mentoring is so integral to them at this time in their lives.
So what is Raise today? So I know you're in Queensland, South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, obviously. How many schools are we seeing? How many mentors?
So we're in every state and territory bar Northern Territory, and we're still working on that one. We are in 180 schools across the country this year. We hope to reach around the 2,600 and something young people this coming year, which is amazing. It's yet again higher. We've gone more and more young people each year with every program year, and I think we are something like 60 to 70 program counsellors strong. So we have a massive team of professionals out there across the country running these programs in our schools.
Yep. And if we talk about a program, can you give us sort of the overview of what a program looks like?
Sonia, do you want to?
Yes.
Sure. So our program runs over 20 weeks, starting in term 2, and you start off with a mentor orientation. The young people who are our mentees, they also do an orientation. The second session you do is what we call jitters, and Paul was just saying he likes the name jitters, because we know everybody coming in are going to be a bit jittery, both mentees and mentors, and the PC sometimes too, and estate managers. Program managers, we're not that jittery. And so jitters is where you first all meet up together, and that's where we use that information to make our matches. So that's how our young people get matched with their mentor. It's through connections that are made, just natural connections that are made. We do a little bit of a quiz, interests, that kind of stuff. But we do ask the young people to give us the names of the young people, that the mentors that they might have clicked with a little bit.
Yep.
And then we run through the program for the whole of term 2, which is 10 weeks. Then we go to term 3, which is another 10 weeks. The second last session, we do a graduation where we celebrate how far they've come. They get a certificate. Your mentor will stand up and talk about you. And then in the very final week, we call it the gift of goodbye. So it's more of a supported goodbye. It's to teach young people that not all goodbyes have to be painful, or they have to be bad, or based on some, horrible event. This is about teaching them that relationships can come to a natural end. So that's what the program looks like, pretty much.
Look, so like I said in the beginning, one thing we really liked, even though the program is structured, it's very flexible. So what are some of the topics covered in the program. So obviously, there's a sort of a workbook, handbook that we get. So
mentee handbook.
yeah,
We are mentee focused. We call it mentee focused. So if your young person arrives for a session and they've got something on their mind, feel free to just go and talk to them about what they need to talk about. Sometimes in the beginning, it's good to have that book just to sort of guide the relationship a bit. But topics we talk about is setting goals, making friends, limiting beliefs, self-talk, all those things that, help build resilience in young people, the skills that they need in order to build that resilience.
yep. And the skills that the stats show are really good. So can we go through some of the stats in regards to what has been achieved from the program?
Yeah, look, we're very proud of our program and the achievements we have. We know that 97% generally across our schools, our mentees and our mentors all come to us and say, we've loved the program. A lot of our mentees say, can I please do it again? Can I please do it again? And a lot of mentors do it again. And schools re-roll us over again and again each year. So some of our schools, Raise has been running for 15 years in New South Wales. We know we have schools that have been with us for those 15 years. So it's really fantastic in that way. It actually interestingly came up in an interview I did yesterday. She said, I see all the great stats that you've got all up in the 90s and the high 90s. Tell me about the other 4%. I said, okay, I can explain that 4%. It's because we're a human organisation that works with human beings. And sometimes this program is not for everyone. We don't aspire to be everything to everyone. And that's okay. So sometimes mentoring isn't what a particular young person needs in the program. So they might leave and make a space for someone who needs it more. That's really important. And that's a really good lesson for a young person to go, you know what? I can give this to somebody else. For our mentors, sometimes it's not for them. And that's okay too. We don't need to be everyone's cup of tea. But that's basically what those 4% are about. The 97, the 96, the 95s, and the 99s of schools that love us, they all subscribe to this mentality, I suppose, of mentoring. And it is creating a mentoring culture in our schools. We've found after 15 years, we are now contributing to actually building cultures within schools, which is something that's really, really important. And really good for us because it's what we believe in.
Yep. Okay, so we've given you 50,000, 2 schools. Can you sort of explain how that works? Obviously, the money's used in those schools, but what's it funding and how's it sort of?
That's allowing us to run that program. So obviously, it goes to the things that supplies that program in terms of the handbook, the time of the PC. But it also helps us build our community awareness. It also helps us do certain things with schools that are outside of the program. So sometimes what we might do is run a excursion. We have some other corporates, and we've been talking to Paul about whether there's a possibility of an excursion that we can offer a particular cohort of young people out of school. That helps us bring their experience even further around that mentoring experience to outside of that space. Other things we do is we do special events. So in some states, what they do in connection to our program is actually build a community event off the program. So they give back to their community while they're receiving from them through the mentor program. So that helps us do a lot of those sorts of things as well and really broaden the experience for the mentee.
And how many kids get to go through the program now because of that?
Wow. Look, we know that we're looking at around about 40 young people that would be impacted by that. However, we also know that there's a ripple effect of a young person going through our program. What they learn and what they realise through the program, they share with at least 2 other people in their life. So that could turn up to 120 young people.
Yeah, and I think that too is a really safe number to choose, if that makes sense. I think, and I've done some mentoring myself out other programs. I think, really that's 6, 7, 8, 9. never know the impact that you can create there. But two is, I think you're selling yourself a bit short on using that number. I understand we've got to do those things. So if we jump into being a mentor, I've signed up to do it. Obviously, there's a few things that we need. Working a blue card, police check is done. You've got to do a training program. You want to talk about the training program, Cindy?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add to what Joe had said about where your money goes.
Yep.
It goes to training all our volunteers. So as a volunteer, you'll do 12 hours of free training. We offer that training for free to our volunteers. And obviously, we've got to pay our trainers to do that and to pay for everything else that goes around that. But so you'll do 8 modules online. So we have a digital hub where you will go through 8 different modules. They cover things like youth culture, youth safety, setting goals, basically understanding what young people are about today. What is mentoring? Because I know that if you put what is mentoring into Google, you'd have 100 different results as a description. So you learn what Ray's definition of mentoring is. And then we do what we call group mentor training, whereas you come together as a group, either face-to-face or we do it virtually. And that's 6 hours worth of training where we really prepare you and we go through scenarios. So we do a lot of scenarios. We get you in groups. You actually practice. And everybody goes, role play. I promise you, it's some great fun. And you will actually really get a lot out of it in knowing what it is that potentially you could be faced with a young person. And we help you set those expectations for what it is like to be a mentor. And it's a great way of just really understanding what you're getting into.
Yeah. And then you've done the training, you start the sessions at the schools. We've said it's 20 weeks, 1 hour a session.
1 hour for the mentoring session, and then we do mentor support sessions for another hour. And we use mentor support to support you as a mentor, to help you be the best mentor you can be. Yeah. It's also a time for you to let go of anything that you might have heard from your young person and hand it back to your program counsellor. We don't want you leaving our sessions carrying anything heavy. The program counsellor is there for that reason. So it's a check-in, it's about your self-care, and it's about developing together as a team, because what you will be is you'll be a team of mentors and mentees, and you will be your own little, cohort. Yeah.
And so the training I've done, obviously you're in the school. There seems to be a lot of support from the program coordinator or the PC of that school. Yeah. So that made me feel very comfortable in regards to if heavy things came out, then I've got that support there from a professional, if that makes sense. So again, that's one of the things we loved about the program. Can you just go through that that support so people feel a bit more comfortable in regards to if they became a mentor, you're just not by yourself with the child?
Do you want me to do that one? Sure. So you have your program counsellor there. If you do have a disclosure or a young person shares something particularly heavy and you're not sure what to do with that information, you would call your program counsellor over and they would help you have that conversation with the young person. So we don't then exclude you from the conversation. We include you in that conversation with your young person. We want to honour the fact that you are building a relationship with that young person too. Then if it is something that has to be escalated, the program counsellor will take it to the school, and the school has its own processes. At RAISE, part of our youth safety policy is that we will then also make decisions about what is done with that. We have, as a mentor, you'll have access to support from your program counsellor, from the program manager, and we have our new youth safety officer starting shortly. So there is a lot of support available to you. Program managers, we're not on the ground every single day, but we are in contact with you as mentors and we are there as a backup. So you are very supported in this process.
Yeah. And I was really interested in how the youth is selected for the program. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, mentee selection, always a fun topic. A lot of our school, we prefer to go self-selected. In all honesty, Raise would rather young people put their hand up for the program, because then we know that they really want this opportunity, they understand what they're stepping in for, and they're fully versed in what it's all about. Some schools do it differently. They might do part selection and part tap on the shoulder, if you know what I mean, young man. I think, you could have something good out of this program, and that's okay too. But basically what we're looking for, the young person who thrives in our program is not, if you imagine a traffic light, for example, they're not red. They're not already within the deep recesses of the system. They're not already in deep support. They're not necessarily green, although some of them you might look and go, there's no problems with you. Why are you here? Always know there's a reason. They're more that amber light. So they're at risk of disengagement. They haven't disengaged yet. And that's the important thing about Raise, that we target our program to those young people who are at risk of disengagement, either from education primarily, but also from general life connections. That's really important, because if you remember back to how we started, it was a very sad youth suicide. We don't want our young people to get to that point. We want to grab them before they become disengaged.
Excellent. And I assume different schools and different geographical regions have different needs and the different types of students. Would that be fair in saying, or?
It is fair in saying, but it's not as diverse as you might think.
Okay.
A lot of the problems are similar, but we may, in some schools, may have more of one particular issue that's more prevalent in their community, or as opposed to another. Yes, but ultimately, it's actually really interesting, because that's something I've found over my time with Raise, is that the different generations generally bring the same things, but they approach it differently. So we've got Generation Alpha now just in our programs as of last year. They approach their challenges differently to previous generations. And that's really interesting for us as mentors and for those of us who work at Raise, because we have to adapt to that. And so, yes, it's generally the same issues. It's just we talk about it.
Yeah, if you talk about and approach it differently. I can see that. I can see that. Testimonials from mentors. Obviously, people come back. They enjoy the process. They
join staff.
Yeah, they join staff there 9 years later. What's a really common feedback from a mentor?
Our most dominant piece of feedback is that I was looking for something that allowed me to give back to my community, but also do something of purpose for myself. And that is the one thing we can promise you that we can give. We will allow, this program allows you to contribute to your community within the education system for young people. And you can also do something that is of purpose and actually does give you that sense that you've done something at the end of it. That is the very thing that we can promise. Can you add to that at all?
Yeah, I've also had a lot of mentors returning mentors who go, I've only had boys, so I've been matched with a girl mentee, and I've learned so much from that. Or I've learned things that I can use in my personal life or with my family. I've learned how to talk to my own children or my grandchildren. My favourite is when people say, I've learned how to, talk to people at work in a different way, or how to be a better listener. And, those skills that we use in mentoring are so transferable to our general lives.
Yeah. I think we might open it to questions if anyone's got any. We're mic'd up, so we can, if you want to unmute yourself, we've got earphones like special police. I feel like the Secret Service today. I'm sure Joe and Cindy will happy to answer any questions. We can write them obviously in the chat, which we can see.
Everybody's nervous.
We've just covered it so well. Thanks, Deb.
Hey, Paul. Mine's not so much a question, but I just wanted to remind everybody, if after this they're interested in the mentoring, and that if they type in join the good squad on our Hive, that gives them everything they need to do via Heritage to able to be to participate and what we would expect, how many days they can get through Heritage to be involved in everything. So it's Join the Good Squad, and you'll see all the information there, guys.
Correct. So there's going to be some information come out after this in regards to if you wanted to look at being a mentor. I know Dan and the ESG team have been working hard in regards to developing policies for that, which is great. So information will definitely come out. I'm pretty sure you're going to nod your head, Dan, tomorrow or
yeah, so in the next few days that will come out. And I guess I'll do a couple, and thanks for the shout out for the Good Squad there, Deb. It's greatly appreciated. But I guess one thing we've done, and obviously the guy spoke about this is a long-term commitment. It's not like going out for one day and doing volunteering. So we've worked, and a big shout out here to People and Culture, and especially for Darren, who's endorsed, I guess, extension of volunteer leave for people who participate in the program. So it's not going to be capped at that 15.2 hours or those 2 days. It's going to be extended for the whole program there as well. So there'll be some comms that comes out about this, post-session, probably early next week. And if anyone's interested, you can contact Paul and myself. Probably with this one here, and I won't talk for too much longer, but it's really important that you get, I guess, buy-in from your leader to do it as well, because there's that consistency the same place every week for 2 hours. So and that's obviously important for the mentee as well. So that's something I was actually going to ask as well, if I could jump in there. Like, how important is that consistency for the mentee?
Oh, Daniel, it is so important. We often say to our mentors when we're at training is that, because there's often a level of anxiety or concern about what's expected of us as mentors. And you probably won't believe me when I say this, but I promise you it's true. Our mentors, all you need to do is turn up, preferably every week if possible, and listen. That's all they need from you. If that's all you do, that's your job pretty much done. Young people need so little from us. They just want our time and our attention and to be listened to. That's all. And so for some of them, it's just the fact that you are prepared to volunteer your time for that hour for 20 weeks that is absolutely amazing to them. And they're so grateful for that. And it means a lot to them. Young people, they say, get something like 62 seconds of attention a week. I'll let that drop for a little minute. 62 seconds of one-to-one dedicated attention a week. So when you think about what one-to-one time means to us with our friends or our family or our partners or our work people, imagine what that means to a young person. So don't worry about what you can bring to mentoring. Keep your expectations low. We are planting seeds with young people, but the fruit comes later. If you can turn up each week and just listen to them and be there for them, that is your job done.
I think that's a pretty good answer to a pretty good question.
Just a question too, where are the locations based? Sort of where do you guys work from? I guess that's probably important for a lot of people. Where would they have to go to do the mentoring? So
it is at the school. So it's at a school that you choose. They're all listed. I can't tell you all 180 right now. My memory doesn't work that well.
Yeah.
But there's a whole list on the school. So on the website, you'll see there'll be a map, and it'll have all these little blue icons, which is our logo, all in the different areas. Just click on that state that you're in, and it will show you where all of our school locations are. So
I know, Deb, that will be in Dan's email going out to have a look at where those are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're given a choice of, I think, 3. When you go through, because obviously some will fill and will position you at one of your choices, but ultimately they're all listed there and all open. So just to Melissa's question, I think just wait till Dan sends out the volunteering leave information in regards to that, and we'll be able to work that out with you and your leader. Yeah. Okay, I've got 3, 2, 1 for any final questions.
I do have a question.
Go for it.
Thank you. In People's Choice side of the business, I don't know if it's any different in Heritage. We do get 2 days to volunteer every year.
Yep.
Yep,
So
we've aligned
if,
that. Yep, across the organisation now. Sorry. Yep.
so has that increased or?
No, so
The,
it's 2 days for everyone.
Oh yeah.
But as I mentioned earlier, if you're interested, if you end up participating in this program, we've organised that you can take, I guess, a higher amount of volunteer leave to participate.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry, I did miss that then.
No, all good. All
Yeah.
good. Yeah, but the
And
cobs will come out and yeah, we'll.
And the second part of my question was going to be that while we were going through this meeting, I was having a look at the number of schools or the list of schools in SA, and looks like most of the schools listed are public schools. So is that something that's just happened to be that way, or the focus is to support the public sector more?
Yeah, that is our focus, is to support the public sector more. That's not to say that we're not in private schools in some states, but our focus is state schools, yes.
Excellent. Well, to finish things off, my final question normally, well, has always been, as we go back to our desks, our day jobs, what's the one thing you want people to think about in regards to RAISE and what it does? Yeah.
Whoa, I could take 4 hours to answer this. I think your takeaway that I'd like is that we can't do this alone. We can't just do this with Cindy and I. We need mentors. We need mentors to do this with us and be our army, if you like, and our force of nature. So, anything, even if this isn't for you, if you can't fit this in, that's fine. But do you know someone else who might make a really good mentor? Because that's what our kids really deserve. And I think, too, a takeaway is that this is not a flash-in-the-pan organisation. We are very serious and very structured, and we have a lot of policy and framework around every step we take within this youth safety space. So when we say the support is there, it is absolutely there for you as a mentor, as a stakeholder in what we do for our young people. So feel secure.
And I'd like to say, I've volunteered in a lot of organisations, both here in Australia and in South Africa, where I'm from. And I have never, ever felt so supported. I found it such a professional organisation as a volunteer, and I felt really valued and appreciated. And I learned so many things that I could take away with me. And I think that's quite rare in a volunteering role. So, yes, and I know I'm going to feel like I'm selling it, but there's a lot of us in the programs team who were mentors, who wanted to work for the organisation because it's so aligned with our values and that kind of thing. So,
I totally understand that. Totally understand that. Well, look, I'd like to thank you both really for your time. It's been great. This is the start of our relationship with RAISE. We're going to try and do a few things this year. Obviously, volunteering is going to be a part of that. I'd like to thank, I think we had over 60-something people here, which is our largest meet and eat. So thank you for listening. We really do appreciate your time. I know a lot of people are busy. Look out for stuff from either it'll be me or Dan or whoever sends that out. But information will come out in regards to possibly becoming a mentor. And look, have a great Thursday, and thank you for joining for our first meet and eat for 2024. Lovely to see a lot of familiar faces. Hi, Michelle. And lovely to see a lot of new faces out there as well. Very soon we'll be the People First Bank Foundation, and we really are here for everyone in the organisation. So watch this space.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.